Hello, my dear friends. Congratulations to all of you. Let's begin with the fifth stanza of the poem, A Psalm of Life. In the war's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Here the poet compares the world with a broad field of battle. This world is a battlefield where we are soldiers. And here, this is an imagery, or the world has been compared with a large field of battle, a large battlefield, and it is also called a metaphor. In the bivouac of life, bivouac is a temporary encampment, a temporary shelter for the soldiers, and after the soldiers of fighting is over, they leave the camp, the encampment. So this life is compared to a bivouac, a temporary tent. Also here it is a metaphor. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, in this way, in this world, we are just like soldiers taking shelter under a temporary camp, and therefore we have to do our duty as soldiers. Be not like dumb driven cattle, and the poet advises us not to behave like dumb driven cattle who have no voice, who cannot raise their voice, who are always silent, who never raise their voice against injustice and torture, tyranny and harassment. So we should not behave like dumb driven cattle. We should be a hero in the strife. We should be play the role of a hero in the struggle for existence, in the struggle for life. In this way, this stanza is filled with imagery, and the poet advises us to play heroic deeds in the struggle for life, because a struggle, a continuous struggle is going on always in this world, and we have to play the role of a hero, otherwise we cannot exist in this world. By using metaphors and similes, the poet has made his presentation very heart-touching and impressive. And here the preposition be not like dumb driven cattle. Here the preposition like is used, so it is a simile, and the world has been compared with a large battlefield, so it is a metaphor, or it may be called an imagery. In the bivouac life, life has been compared to a temporary camp or an encampment, a temporary shelter, so it is also a metaphor. Be a hero in the strife. We should play heroic deeds. We should play the role of a hero, encountering and confronting all the trials and tribulations, hazards and hurdles in our life, all the predicaments of life, all the odds and oddities of our life, and we should never give in the face of the problems, the difficulties, the troubles and tribulations that torture, that infuse poison into our life. We should not be cowed down. We should play the role of a hero and play brave deeds, so that we can make the most of life and the best use of our lifetime. The poet finds many people in the world are just like dumb driven cattle. They don't have a voice. They are silent, and they cannot raise voice against injustice when they are tortured or when they are tyrannized. And therefore, he asks us not to be silent, to raise our voice, and to be aggressive-minded, to be vigorous, and to have a prowess, to encounter, to face, to challenge the predicaments, the complexities of life. In the next stanza, the poet says, trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead first bury its dead. Act in the living present. Heart within and God overhead. The poet here makes some advice to us, that he asks us to trust no future, not to believe in future, not to have any faith in future, because future is uncertain, future is unborn. There is neither guarantee or warranty to future life, and you cannot say that you would survive into future. So there is no hope. You cannot put any hope and expectation on your future life. So he asks us not to trust future, however pleasant it may be. You may be dreaming a colorful and bright future, but it may not come true. Your future, you may not survive into future. Your life may not pass into future. So in any case, on no circumstances we should believe in the future, which is uncertain. And then he says, let the dead past bury its dead. Here the past is personified. The past is just like a dead person. The poet advises us to forget the past, because past is gone. It has nothing to influence. We should not regret, and the past should bury its own dead body, meaning we should totally or entirely forget the past, bury the dead body of the past, meaning we should not regret. We should not remember the anguish and torture, the pains that we have tolerated, that we have endured in the past. And then he advises, act in the living present. The present moment is precious for us, because we are now living. We have some power now, and we should be active, and we should be agile. We should be nimble in the living present, which is very precious and valuable for us. And act. The poet advises us to be active, to be energetic in the living present. Heart within. Heart means here courage. With courage in your heart and God overhead. And at the same time, the poet advises us to have faith in God, to depend on, to rely on, to bank on the blessings of God who is overhead. The present is the only reliable and valuable time for us. It has too much value for us, and it is so much precious for us. So we should go on doing our duty with much sincerity and commitment. Also, the line expresses the poet's faith in God. The poet is a believer in God, and therefore he says that heart within and God overhead. We should depend on the divine. We should depend upon the divine blessings of God who is over our head. In this way, the poet shows that he is very much devoted to God. He has faith in God and he believes in God. In the next stanza, the poet says that lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sand of time. The poet advises us to be influenced by the noble life, the sublime life, the great life, the ideals, principles propounded by, preached by, propagated by the great men of the past. We should be influenced by them, and if we are influenced by them, we can make our lives sublime. Sublime means great. And departing meaning at the time of departure, at the time of death, leave behind us footprints on the sand of time. And when at the time of death, when we will leave the world, we would leave behind us footprints. Footprints means the noble examples, the noble ideals of good work. Footprints on the sand of time. The sand of time is an imagery. Footprints on the sand of time. This line is a beautiful imagery, and the poet makes his description very colorful and heart-touching and mind-blowing. With this line, footprints on the sand of time. Actually, footprints cannot be made on the sand of time. It is just an imagery. And here the lives of great men all remind us. Lives, L-I-V-E-S, of a great, G-R-E-A-T, men, M-E-N. Here you see the repetition of E, the vowel sound. This is called assonance. This figure of speech, this poetic device is called assonance. And here in this stanza, the poet advises us to be influenced by, to be guided by, to be steered by the great noble principles, ideals of the great men of the past, and being influenced by them, we should at the time of our death leave behind us footprints, meaning noble examples, noble instances for the future generation to be followed by them. In this way, we should be influenced by the noble thoughts and the noble deeds of the great men of the past. And then in the next stanza, the poet says, footprints that perhaps another selling over life's solemn man, a fallen and shipwrecked brother, sing shall take heart again. Footprints meaning noble examples, the noble ideas, or the instances that we would keep in reserve for the future generation, so that they would feel inspired and encouraged by the footprints, and that perhaps another selling over life's solemn man, meaning this footprint, this noble example, will inspire another person who has lost everything in life, whose lifeboat has been capsized in the midst of the sea. Man, M-A-I-N, man meaning sea or ocean. This life is an ocean, and in this life, one who is disappointed, one who is depressed, one who is dejected, one who has lost everything in his life, one who is broken-hearted, forlorn, he leads a solitary life, he leads a lonely life, and his shipwrecked brother means a brother, one of our fellow men who has lost his ship, whose ship has been wrecked, whose ship has been destroyed in the midst of sea. So therefore he is helpless and disappointed, he is in great despondency, and he feels helpless. And such a brother, an isolated brother, a dejected brother, a marooned brother, he would sing our footprints, meaning when he would come across our footprints, the noble examples of life, the noble ideals of life which we have left after before our death, he shall take heart again, meaning he shall feel inspired again, and so that he can once again come to the mainstream of his life and be bold to challenge, to confront the impediments, obstacles, and hazards, troubles, and tribulations of his stormy life again by mustering courage and bravery in his heart. In the last stanza, the poet says, let us then be up and doing with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. In the last stanza also, the poet advises us, he tries to infuse into us, he tries to inculcate into us some noble advice, some golden advice. Let us then be up and doing. Then the poet asks us to be active, to be agile, to be vigorous, and to have strength of mind, both mentally and physically. We should be active, energetic, and we must have a sinews, and we should be active. Be up and doing is a phrase meaning to be active, to be vigorous, to be agile, and to be nimble. With a heart for any fate, we should get ready to encounter, to challenge any fate, any predicament of life, whatever may betide, whatever may trouble may come on our way. We must be ready with bravery in our heart, with courage in our heart to face it. We should not give in. We should not give in the face of danger or problems. Whenever there is a peril or danger, or we must face it bravely, and we should never surrender or yield before it. With a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, the more success we achieve, we would not come to a halt. Our struggle should not be ended, should not come to an end. We should not stop our struggle, our strive for existence. The more success we achieve, the more success we get, and the more and more we will pursue after success. We should not sit again idle. We should not while away time. We should not kill time. We should not stop our labor. We should go out doing this strenuous duty in order to achieve more and more success. And therefore, in the last line, the poet says, learn to labor and wait. And here, the last line in the poet is quite optimistic. He infuses optimism or hopefulness into our heart. He asks us, learn to labor and learn to labor hard, to work hard, to be dutiful, and to go on doing our duty sincerely, and to wait. He advises us to wait for the good result that would our hard labor produce at the end, in the end. And therefore, when he says learn to labor and to wait, the poet is here optimistic, and he completely keeps away a negative attitude towards life. And therefore, he says learn to labor and to wait. We should not we should not be frustrated by working hard. If we work hard, we should wait for the better result, and therefore he says to wait for the success, more brilliant success, more colorful success that is awaiting us in future. Frustration, dejection, depression, all these negative things should not drown us. We should wait for the positive result, and in this way the poet infuses into us, inculcates into our heart the positivism or optimism. Thus the poem is an inspirational poem. It is quite encouraging. The poet spurs into our heart optimism and with a colorful dream that would illuminate and our heart to see the bright side of the things. In this way, negativism is a killer and optimism is a healer. Finally, with this advice, the poet concludes the poem. If you like this video, then please share and subscribe it to your friends. Thanking you all again. At the end, I would like to tell you 2 or 3 poetic devices as a figure of speech that I have left out while discussing this poem. In the line, a fallen and a shipwrecked brother, here you see forlorn, here are consonant, and shipwrecked, here are consonant, and brother, the consonant R has been repeated again and again. It is called consonance. Similarly, in the line, still achieving and still pursuing, you see the vowel I. In achieving, still, and pursuing, the vowel I is repeated, and this repetition of vowel sound is called assonance, a figure of speech. Also, lines like this, still achieving, still pursuing, are similar in construction. This is also known as parallelism. Thanking you with this.